Oh, we almost forgot. The bonus, the 414. Now, this is very interesting. She's called the Burberry woman because it's a Burberry coat. So in Korea, if you wear a trench coat, they just call it a Burberry coat. You know, kind of like tissues or Kleenex. So it's body. And yeah, they also have like flashers, I guess. It has that connotation too, but I think it's very interesting that this mysterious woman has a Burberry coat because she kind of seems like a spy. So at 4:14, she walks into the frame and she comes through the right and she's walking, and she goes all the way to right at the entrance of, where SJM fell and Mr. A followed to go down to the riverbank. It's almost as if she kind of like looks to check like, oh, okay, they're not ready yet. And then she loops back around, walks all the way to the right of your screen, and there's a bench where she sits apparently for like 3 minutes. Then she goes back. She goes back to the embankment and goes down at 4:23 a.m. Now remember, we said before that there was a claim that he got woken up by somebody at around 4:20. It was probably the Burberry woman that was not supposed to be named. They probably got it mixed up with the real eyewitness, the real guy that shook him awake at 4:27. But this Burberry woman, I think, is supposed to be like a fixer who is not supposed to be named. How do we know she was wearing a Burberry coat? Well, she was also filmed apparently in the tunnel, and so analysis showed her movement being tracked. There's two main reasons why she's important. Number one, she wasn't called as a witness. Why would she be important as a witness? Because she was right there from 4:23 a.m. to about 4:58, around 5 a.m. Then she leaves. Right at the riverbank, right at the site where SJM was last seen, right at the site where Mr. A pops out, right where he was supposedly sleeping, and right at the site where apparently the fisherman about 80 meters away had seen supposedly somebody walk and start swimming into the water at 4:40 a.m. Now, she was either sent there to help Mr. A just get it together and just get out. Maybe she was even the one that swam out there for a little bit and then got out of the water and went home. Because when you think about it, what better way to hide a wet body after swimming in the river like a freak than wearing a Burberry coat? That's why freaks wear Burberry coats. You can hide so much stuff under there. Okay, so just to recap, Mr. A says he got blackout drunk. Can't remember a thing that happened, except what he does remember and what he does recall seems to conveniently place a very constructive timeline that can give him an innocent alibi. If there's any question about SJM falling over, well, according to Mr. A, that was SJM's fault. He ran and tripped and fell. And actually, according to Mr. A, he helped him back up. And they were both seen at 3:38 a.m. by an eyewitness, eyewitness number 1, I think it's kind of convenient that he was eyewitness number 1, and eyewitness number 1, according to that picture at 3:38 a.m., doesn't exist. We're going to go over the CCTV footage where the parents are the main attraction, and it seems like perhaps, if you believe that Mr. A and his family are acting very suspiciously, it looks like they actually called in a cleanup crew and were managing them. Okay, only because I said this earlier, like, I can't leave you hanging. Why do I think he got a ride from the police? Well, there's also this theory because there is CCTV footage. Again, we're only basing this on evidence of CCTV footage, not like total crazy hearsay, of supposedly a registration of a call for like somebody who was drunk or like a fender bender. And these like police cars like go like really rapidly. I've never seen police cars go that rapidly for like a fender bender or somebody who's drunk, okay? It looked like, an emergency. And it was right at the time, those critical key moments. Very suspicious. Very suspicious. And also, very reasonable to think that that's how he got home so fast. And very reasonable to think that's how all of this got executed so quickly. Look, if you are somebody who knows how to do this, you know how to do this. Because this seems like, wow, like almost impossible. You like normal people would just be like, no. You can't think that quick where you're gonna have somebody like within the hour already be there. You've already planned like somebody to say like 3:38 a.m. like we've already seen them alive. We're gonna have somebody maybe jump into the water, pretend that they're there at 4:40 a.m. and we're going to have like a cleanup crew come and we're just going to like try to sweep the area. So in the mainstream media, when we're seeing some of this so-called new CCTV footage, they're really focusing on this one. This is peanuts compared to what we just did in part 1. You're an expert by now. So 5:12 a.m., we see Mr. A and his father pop out of the car, presumably being driven by the mother. Remember, Mr. A had left at 4:32 a.m., just 40 minutes before, went all the way home, told his parents about what happened, did something with, said like, oh my god, my phone is not my phone, this is SJM's phone, changed his clothes, fell into bed, kind of went like, and then just like went all the way back to the river. By 5:12 a.m., they're hopping the fence. Now, the place that they're hopping the fence is the closest spot you can get with a car to start walking towards where they were on the grassy knoll. So the narrative that the skeptics in mainstream media are saying is that this guy is not blackout drunk. Because this guy was claiming even at 5:12 a.m. he was blackout drunk, but here he is hopping a fence, and they really emphasize the slipper part. Kusurepa. I guess it takes dexterity and skill. If you're gonna be, just take this as a cultural cue. If you can do some stuff with surepa on, don't use excuses while you're wearing surepa. So he hopped the fence, his dad follows. So people are saying he is not credible. And SJM's father was really at the forefront of this criticism, saying that this is abhorrent. So we've seen that part over and over and over again. What we haven't seen matched up with this timestamp of 5:12 a.m. is a person who is also entering the park but through the tunnel. It looks like they're carrying a pair of clothes or something. And it looks like he meets up with the person with the clothes in a hidden area behind the trees in the small building, which is probably a bathroom, like, one of those portable, yet more of the semi-permanent lavatories. Now, people are saying, look, if they were just like kind of passing by each other, you would have seen that person continue to walk on by. But they both stop in that area for about a minute. A's father is also not passing through, searching for the missing friend. Remember, this whole thing was about searching for the missing friend. Now we get to really see, on an analytical level, whether or not the behavior of Mr. A's parents really was that of concern and trying to search for somebody else's kid, or whether they were there to manage the cleanup of evidence. So after the supposed meetup, A's father is the first to leave to the left of your screen. Then the mystery person with the clothes leaves to the right towards the parking lot. Okay, so now we're going to 5:47 a.m. At this time, Mr. A is out of the frame because he is returning SJM's phone to SJM's parents. And so our attention is now on Mr. A's father, who's acting also really strange behind the trees. I don't know, father and son have a weird relationship with trees. He makes a diagonal beeline for the trees. He only looks to the right at the water, as opposed in all directions in search for a missing friend of his son. And he stops near a tree, and it looks like he's on a phone. Mr. A comes back, and notice the father doesn't immediately come out to greet his son. He's kind of like still hidden. It looks like he doesn't want to be seen. And then when he confirms that it's only his son, he walks out to meet his son. Then the son collapses to the ground. He picks up his son and he stays on the phone. Why? What do you think just happened there? I think I know exactly what happened. Mr. A was hiding behind the trees not because he's a creep. He didn't want to see SJM's parents. Because Mr. A was returning the phone. So there's a good chance that when he's returning the phone, SJM's parents are also going to accompany him because they're supposedly on a search, and that they would talk to Mr. A as well. So Mr. A, especially while he's on the phone conducting business, probably did not want to see SJM's parents. And then so when he was able to confirm that his son came back alone, he went out to greet him. His son collapsed on the floor. Why? Because it took all of the reserves of his energy to put up an act of innocence to give the phone back to the parents. And then he's like, oh, God, Dad, do you know what I had to go through? And then his dad comes out and he's like, get up. And he's probably like checking up on the status of the cleanup operation. Is everything going according to plan? Check, double check, make sure nothing has been missed. Then they both turn and look towards the woods in the far right corner across the parking lot. Right after he hangs up, a person appears on the scene. And now this is the umbrella woman. But we had a Burberry woman before. Maybe she had to go home and rest. Now we have an umbrella woman. So she starts digging through the garbage looking for something. The father keeps looking in her direction. Even if they weren't looking at her, they were staying put in one location instead of looking for SJM. So now we're at 5:55 a.m. and we have this famous part that we've seen many times with Mr. A is in front of his father saying, "I'm sorry." The father shuts him up and gets him up off of his knees. Mr. A is apparently sobbing for real because we have eyewitnesses. The couple that is on the right of your screen, when they walked by, they heard, and they reported what they had heard, and they said that Mr. A was actually crying, like sorry. And then the mom said, "We're gonna talk about this at home." And then the father's like, "Shh." And a lot of people are saying like he was like using his hand to basically be like, "Don't say anything," like shh. And then they start looking towards the river, towards the water, and then towards the umbrella woman. You know what it looks like to me? It looks like they all want to make sure that SJM doesn't pop back out of the water. They want to make sure that he sank properly. The couple that was within earshot during the kneeling scene, they were confirmed to be at the convenience store between 5:20 and 5:40 on a CCTV camera. They also said they saw a well-dressed person digging through the trash. They're like, that's weird. Like, they don't even look homeless. They don't even look like there's some of those people who just like look for recyclables. Just weird. So there were obviously some people digging through the trash looking for something. And they also said they heard that they told the son, "Really, what the heck were you doing down there?" Okay, so at 5:59 a.m., you also see the umbrella woman. When she leaves, the family leaves too. And they keep pace with her in the same direction. And some people say that she might even be the auntie. Remember the auntie that threw away the shoes? If you see some of her actions, the umbrella woman's actions, she keeps searching the grassy knoll as if to double, triple check for evidence. It looks like she goes up to pick up something and then she just throws it back on the ground. So it might be like something that actually turned out not to be significant. She just threw it back. Then we fast forward to 6:47. This is when the umbrella woman shows up again. She still has her umbrella open. Nobody else is concerned about the rain. There is no rain. And it looks like she's carrying a shopping bag or tote. What's inside? So let's talk about when the police car comes and then match it up to some of the data usage. 3:39, the first police car comes. Heavy data usage at 3:38 a.m. 3:37 a.m. is when Mr. A calls his dad. So let's reverse it. Mr. A calls his dad at 3:37 a.m. There's heavy data usage on SJM's phone at 3:38 a.m. 3:39, the first police car comes zooming by that CCTV camera. 3:56 a.m., 2 additional police cars come zooming by that CCTV camera, and there's significant data usage at 3:56 a.m. Were they helping? Were they coming to help with the cleanup mission? Were they coming to give somebody a ride home? Were they coming to drop off the Burberry woman? So in the phone forensics video, I mentioned how it was very suspicious, how the police announced that the phone was last used at 1:09 a.m. And then with all of the significant pushback from evidence that even netizens had, they had to later on revise their statement in gobbledygook in the afternoon. And I was like, look, okay, that to me in my mind destroys their credibility. Well, if you weren't convinced by that, listen to this. So there was a congressman from Busan who requested some security footage from the police station. And when he got the report, it listed Son Jung Min as a female youth runaway.
가출? 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 가출?
Female youth runaway. So think about that. Why? Female youth runaway. He's a guy in medical school who went missing. Let me just tell you, female youth runaway, That's probably as bottom of the social hierarchy you can get, and so ignored. You'd probably be so ignored by the police. And I think the police would know that. If the police are helping to cover it up, that's perfect, because if somebody tries to look up the case, it's going to be so confusing because he's filed under female, first of all. Second of all, under runaway, not missing person.
가출?
There's going to be so much confusion just to pull up his file. And not only that, you can always blame it on incompetence. So that's the thing. Yes, there is still a lot of underqualified, undertrained people, but you'd be surprised at how much of the so-called incompetence is not actually incompetence. It's strategic. People are doing it on purpose. There's an agenda. I remember at one job, I always had the pay come late. And after complaining, like we were all complaining, and the girl who was doing the accounting had been getting the brunt of the blame. And it became clear that it was not her fault, but the people above her were just putting the blame all on her. And I can remember the look she gave me once. She's just like, "You don't get it. You don't get it. The money is going somewhere else before it gets to you." There was a restaurant across the street that was supposed to be a chicken stew restaurant, except the chicken stew was really disgusting, and in the back room they had a secret gambling den. I was always wondering if our money went there first. I don't know. So there's discrimination against female runaways, so this would not be taken very seriously, and it would be a case where police would want to quickly just wrap it up and just file it away if this case is just ignored by the general public, and it's just, oh god, another, missing female runaway. She's probably just going to go back home soon. Why are we going to waste all of our time on this? And then boom, done. And then the secret is buried forever. Except this time, they messed with the wrong person. Okay. I'm sorry about what I said about the father. I still believe in what I said about the father, but I will also admit that it's a blessing in disguise. If anybody has ever wondered, as you know, I'm totally against narcissists. I do not like them, but if you ever want to see a case where, well, what is their value in the ecosystem of humanity? Exactly in a case like this, you need to have somebody disconnected from their emotions. So my big concern with the father was that it didn't look like he had like that sadness that would turn on and just sink you when your son dies. It's like there was just like that part of the brain and the soul just didn't switch on. But because of that, he's been able to execute this like a general, to be able to try to get justice for his son without being bogged down by most of the emotions that would clog up and stymie and basically throw people out of the game if they were otherwise normal people. Even people who are observing this are getting really emotional and just like almost like exploding. There's an expression in Korea, 기가 막힌다. That means literally like your chi is just like getting all blocked because you're in rage. It has nowhere to go. And these are people that have no relation, never heard of SJM before, and they're just looking at this case and they're like, Imagine what it would be for a normal father. That'd be like he would not be able to do all of this, but because there's somebody who probably, has a disconnection from regular emotions, he can go forward. Or maybe he's just really strong, steely-willed like that, and maybe he is a normal person. I'm just like totally, reading the situation wrong. But in any event, we are very lucky to have him lead the charge, because I think that if he does succeed, we can really move society forward. Now, a lot of this footage came from this very conservative YouTube channel that usually talks about politics. And they're doing a great job. But of course, they also have an agenda, because now they are saying, you know what, the police, they're not doing a good job. Hand this over to the prosecution. So the conservative side usually is just going to always argue for prosecution to have the power and the police to not have the power. And then the left would always want to argue the opposite. So it becomes more of a debate about who has the power, not who is not corrupting the power. In any event, the people, the regular people, at the end of the day, would probably prefer don't care actually which one had the power if both of them were not corrupt and did their jobs. People care because they're either going to benefit from one side or the other a little bit more and be a little bit more protected from one side or the other and just have to live in this no-win situation, but you have to win a little bit more than the other because it's corrupt. We're trying to get away from that. So in order to try to fix the system, you have to have people fighting against each other. So when it looks like the right is doing something good, they're actually having an agenda to try to get the prosecution power back. But if you're in the middle, you just have to kind of ride this like a subway. You know, if it's the right doing this at this time, ride that subway. If it's going to be the left the next time, ride that subway. Because let me tell you, in Korea, the only streetcar in operation is revenge. So you just gotta hop onto, like, you know, just basically open up your schedule every day and be like, okay, who's gonna get back at whom today, and which way can I just hop a ride on and get where you're going? But why would Mr. A's father have so much sway with the police, so much power, so much influence? Because people are like, gosh, like, this family must be so powerful, or they must have so much money, like, what's going on here? They must be related to the police. But the police are like, nope, we're not related to this family. The family's like, nope, we're not related to the politicians. So who is Mr. A's family? Father's a doctor. And are they well off? Probably. They live in a very nice neighborhood, in a very nice building, and they even own, apparently, the building that their hospital is in. The rent they collect on that alone is what like most people don't even make in a year. And the medical specialty is, forgive my lack of less specific translation, anal health. I mean, in Korea it's very specific. You know, it's just called hangmun, so it's basically your anus. So my theory is that he knows the secrets of some very powerful buttholes. Yeah. There are probably some buttholes that have been doing things that there's something. We never know. So those are the crucial CCTV moments. Was it enough for you? Does it really wrap up the case? Do you really believe he got shoved or fell down around 3:30 a.m.? Or is there more evidence that you need to see? Or do you think it's just an accident? Let us know in the comments below. And until next time, stay safe. Bye-bye.
Tune in next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Love you.